Okay, that's what I wanted to happen. So we're good? I think we're good. Let's put some music on and it's all gonna be good. So everybody, welcome to this edition of the Lax Manectric podcast. I'm your host Matt Manectric and I am with the Laxant himself.
Yo.
As it looks like Cactan is literally putting its hand in your mouth. Like, open your mouth. Open your mouth. It's quite funny. It looks like Cactan is.
Right. Yeah.
Cactan on your head. Yeah, right. That's a bit better. So in this edition, we're going to talk a little bit about some Gen 5 memories. But first, I just want to address to everyone. Remember, events are still happening. You've got the Volcanion event. You've got the Reggies if you're in North America, etc. So make sure you pick up those events if they apply to you. I did mention the Gen 5 memories, but there's something else that came to mind first of all. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't watched it, I'm talking very quietly by the way, so I don't wake up anybody. I'm gonna just drop the music.
Wakey! Wake the fuck up!
So, if you haven't heard of him, which you must be living under a rock, he's got 300,000 subscribers. Etika World Network. I'm sure you've heard of him.
My boy.
Now, Etika put out a video where he explains that he knows certain people in certain areas of the world. That's why it's called Etika World Network. And he has people that know how to hack into these demos. And the way it works is these games are put up onto the Nintendo eShop, and then Nintendo release them. So they're already on there. So if you can hack into the eShop, you can basically download the game.
But you need the right key or something
like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Etika's not colleagues, not
acquaintance.
We'll go with acquaintances. Etika's acquaintances have been able to hack into the eShop and download the game, or download the demo at least, for Sun and Moon, which was announced obviously a couple of weeks ago. That was going to be released, and they've got hold of it. Now, what we do know is, judging by the file size, so it's a 400 megabyte download, which is humongous compared to the X and Y one. Now, what this means is there is way more to this demo. Sorry, not the X and Y one. We didn't get one with X and Y. The Oros one. What we know is there is way more to this demo than there is going to be with the Oros ones. So it should be a fairly sizable chunk of gameplay.
Just had a thought. I understand the whole pre-uploading onto the shop, but isn't it like kind of risky putting it up multiple weeks before the release is meant to happen?
I think this is one of those things where there's just positives and negatives. It's probably a lot easier for them to upload it and then just hit a button and say, yeah, you're released now. Now, we don't know any other information on the demos. Now, the reason why they haven't got the games yet, the games have been uploaded onto the eShop already, but you do need that. They are missing something. I can't remember what they're missing, but they're missing something to get the full game. It's not out yet. Give it more time, and they'll be able to hack into the full game. But that's just a little bit of some Sun and Moon demo news. If you want to go, if you want to go and check it out, go check out Etika World Network. He's done a video on it, but I think it's about 10 minutes long. Just go look him up. Now, this is going to be a fairly short one, mainly because it is 11 o'clock at night and I don't want to wake people up. And there's not a lot of news other than that. But so I just want to talk a little bit about Gen 5 to you, because last week we did talk a lot about Gen 4 because it was Gen 4's birthday. Now, this is not Gen 5's birthday, but there's nothing else. There's not a lot really to talk about. But I just thought this would be an interesting subject.
I was going to suggest the new episodes of Generations, but you haven't exactly watched them.
I haven't watched them. I feel like we should just do one solely on Generations at some point. We'll just like do a Generations marathon. But anyway, what I was alluding to was I'll just tell you a little about my Gen 5 experiences. So obviously Black and White came out. I competed in a VGC 2012 with Black and White, and I still have that save file, so I've still got all those Pokemon, and I have done 2 videos on my VGC little thing. That was like the only really big tournament I've been to. I actually have a part 3 which I've recorded, I just haven't edited, and like I've been meaning to do it for like a month. But I'm sorry. Hello, who's this? Hello. Naruto Uzumaki? I don't speak Japanese, but I'm assuming that's from the anime. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, please ask. We're just talking about Gen 5. So obviously I participated in the VGC 2012. I got top 8 in seniors, which I'm quite proud of. I got knocked out by someone called George Langford, who was running a rain team. I was running Trick Room, and I was fairly inexperienced with Pokemon, sort of competitive battling back then.
Yeah. I just realized, because I'm looking at the reel at the bottom of the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you should have just said Sun and Moon as opposed to the abbreviation.
Probably.
Mm.
Oh wow. What's my favourite Gen 7 one? What's 7's?
What's your favourite Pokemon from Gen 5?
Right, I'll go with that. My favourite Gen 5 Pokemon is... I quite like Hydreigon. I like the whole Duran and Heatmore ecology, where you got the Anteater eat it, which is ×4 effective against the ant.
Yeah. No, I don't know what it was with me, but I had a pretty strong thing for like Ferroseed and Whimsicott.
Whimsicott's
don't know why.
I hate Whimsicott. It's an absolute dick. I actually gained Fairy typing in Gen 6, which is quite interesting.
Mm.
What other Pokemon were there? I think going through the game, going through that VGC tournament, I actually really liked using Escavalier. Escavalier and Behem were flipping amazing in my team.
Oh, yeah, what was it? Carablast and Shelmet. That was an interesting one, wasn't it?
That was a really interesting evolution, where you have to trade it with each other to get to have them evolve.
And that was like the only time the GTS actually worked well with itself.
Instead of just like everyone uploading legendaries for...
Yeah. Or people asking for Pokemon that are really hard to evolve and obtain.
So one thing that's really interesting was the aspect of... Obviously we have version exclusive things. We've always had that. But version exclusive places came about in Gen 5.
Yeah.
The introduction with the switch of Opelucid City, as well as Black City and White Forest. Opelucid City, obviously, the place where you fight the Dragon type gym leader, and then you've got Black City and White Forest, which are, I believe, that they expand the more sort of people you've talked to through Wi-Fi. Is it something like that?
It was through the wireless and infrared stuff, like you meet a whole bunch of people just passing by, and it just expanded. So
one really interesting theory about the Black Tower, and not necessarily White Forest, but I guess White Forest would go to it, but the Black City's Black Tower specifically, if you go and look it up on YouTube, it's about what's happening at the top of the tower, because there are some really weird stuff. If you talk to the NPCs, there are some really weird stuff. Like, people being kidnapped. I can see your face. Yeah, I know. Like, there's like a woman that says like her brother was kidnapped or something like that in the tower. And it's almost like they've got some sort of like Hunger Games at the top of the tower. It's really interesting theory. Look it up. It's on YouTube. I can't remember who did it. It's like Proto Mario or someone like that.
that would make sense.
It's a really interesting theory. Now, we've had a little chat about things that have happened in Black and White. What else? We had the introduction of the Battle Subway. Now, the Battle Subway took the place of the Battle Frontier or the Battle Tower. I would take the Battle Frontier any day over the Battle Subway. Just saying.
Which Battle Frontier?
I feel like Emeralds was too complicated. I like the simplicity of Sinnoh's.
I don't know, it's got like... The Hoenn one had so many decent gimmicks to it.
Yeah.
Although there was one that was just down to pure luck.
Was that the battle pike?
Yeah.
'Cause you got the,
Yeah.
you got the luck symbol. So the
No, not the battle pike. Dude with the Kyogre staff. Can't remember his name.
Spencer, the older guy with the beard.
Yeah. Like.
Oh, that's
couldn't-
your Pokemon pick their moves, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wouldn't even attack at all.
I think that was a battle tent in Gen 3 to do with that. I'm pretty sure.
Mm.
Which is... There are some interesting gimmicks. I feel like you have to go based on strategy there. I like the amount of, like... there's more variation, I think, in Gen 3's Battle Frontier as opposed to Gen 4's. And obviously with the Battle Somewhere, there's, like, no variation. It's kind of like... It's basically a battle tower.
Yeah.
It's just underground. It's like, there's nothing really special about it. It's kind of meh. What Gen 5 did do was introduced a lot of... God, excuse me. was introduced a lot of new held items.
Oh, and the new battle formations as well.
We'll get to that in a minute. So it introduced things like... I believe the air balloon was introduced in Gen 5.
Yeah.
I might be getting this confused with Gen 6.
Floatstone.
Is this from Gen 5?
Yeah, Gen 5 was Floatstone.
I'm just going on Cerebi's item dash just to make sure these are all Gen 5, because I'm not 100% sure. Hold items... Air balloon. Air balloon was Gen 5. Hold item, assault vest. Assault vest was Gen 6.
Was it? Right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I see it now.
So you've got things like the Absorb Bulb was Gen 5. The Berserk Gene... Okay, no, the Berserk Gene wasn't even in that. Like, I'll take that back.
The cell battery or whatever it was.
The Cell Battery was that. That was Gen 5. So we had a lot of interesting items. And we had, I tell you what, a big one. A big one. I cannot be forgetting this one. The Eviolite.
Oh, Eviolite, yeah.
Which Pokemon do I think should get a Mega? What, from Gen 5 specifically? I'd prefer there not to be any more Megas, personally. And I got Black and White, and then I think then I got Black too.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think so. I think I got Black and White and Black too.
Yeah.
What do I think should be a Mega?
I reckon something from Gen 5, because all they have is Ordino.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Mega Ordino actually won the TCG Worlds. Did you hear about that?
No, man.
Yeah,
I don't hear much in the competitive business, so...
So within the TCG, there was a lot of the really common decks with things like Night March, which use a lot of weak Pokemon, so Pokemon with not a lot of HP, and you've got things like Greninja, which often uses a lot of Froakie on the bench.
Right.
And what Ordino could do was it would do 110 damage to the active Pokemon, which was enough to OHKO Shaman, which is one of the best cards in the game. And not only that, if you play a supporter, you do 50 damage to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon, which is enough to take out a Joltik from Night March, just giving you 3 prize cards. And the guy's deck was flawless. It was absolutely fantastic. He completely counterdecked the entire tournament. It was a world-class thought. I think the guy that won it was called Shintaro Ito or something like that.
Alright.
Fantastic decision to go with Mega Ordino. So, where were we? Alright, Megas. I'd say Dunsparce just needs a standard evolution, not necessarily a Mega.
Yeah.
I'm looking at things like Sunflora. Things that need a bit of a boost like that.
Well, in Gen 5, Druddigon and Cryogonal kind of stand out for me for Megas. Don't know why.
Yeah, Cryogonal's got a piss poor defense. Druddigon would be interesting. Please give... I mean, imagine if Vanillux... Is it Vanillux, I think? Imagine if that got a Mega. Imagine it would just be a giant ice cream. Oh my lord, I need that in my life.
What, just like a 3-scoop kind of pyramid?
Yes, let's do it. With 2 handles. And then you could have what else we got? Hey Quicksilver. What else have we got? You've got things like I was gonna say Toxic, but that's Gen 4. Gen 5, I tell you what, something, while we're talking about the actual Pokemon, the individual Pokemon, something that Gen 5 did introduce, for the first time ever, was a complete brand spanking new dex. Complete with no other Pokemon from other regions.
Yeah. Well, what was it? It wasn't quite a soft reset, was it?
No, yeah, we can call it a soft reset.
Hmm.
It wasn't a hard reset. We can call it a soft reset.
Yeah.
But obviously it meant that there was no things like Pikachu at all in there, which is, like I said, the first time ever that's happened.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Which was, I think that was probably a surprise to everyone.
Mm.
But I feel like Gen 5 was obviously one of like the most hated generations, mainly because of the designs. We're looking at things like the Vanillite.
Yeah.
We're looking at things like Garboda. We're looking at things like Cryogonal's a bit silly, I guess.
Mm.
You've got
Fungus
and Amoongus, yeah. Some of the designs were weird, but you do have some awesome designs. Hydreigon, things like that.
Dude, I remember getting hyped over looking at some of the leaked sprites from Black and White.
I actually like, I learned pretty much every single Generation 5 Pokemon's Japanese name when it was coming out.
Oh shit, yeah.
But I knew pretty much every single Japanese name. I don't know many more, obviously, but like this new Pokedex actually very much did replicate the Gen 1 Dex. You've got things like Haxorus is a badass. Mega Haxorus. If they gave that thing a bit of speed, that thing would just kill everything. Haxorus is a Pokemon I want to come back to actually. I'm looking at things like when I made me lose my train of thought, bruh. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I can't remember. So the Gen 5 Dex almost completely replicates Gen 1's Dex. In a sense, you've obviously got 3 stars, which is in every game. You've got things like Patrat. Obviously, again, like in every game, you've got your starting thing. But the thing that makes things different is you've got a Toad, first of all. Politoad. Not Politoad, sorry. You've got Poliwag, Poliwhirl, and Poliwrath. In this game, Timpole, Palpitoad, Seismitoad.
Yeah.
You've got your tradable... You've got your tradable evolution, but they're the same type. So you're looking at Conkeldurr. It's a tradable evolution. Where are you going? My favorite Mega is...
Mega Rayquaza. Yeah, I noticed you were breaking up a bit as well.
Sword?
Whoa. I think so.
Alright, we should be good.
Alright, cool.
Sorry, I think my hand was resting on like my microphone wire, and I think I accidentally pulled it out a little bit. So, we're good. Now, so obviously we had this whole thing. So I found the storyline quite interesting with Black and White, where you have things. We had this thing where N obviously wanted to liberate all the people from Pokemon. This whole like, we'll call it a Petery vibe. But obviously the spoiler alerts, the background line you've got Getsis, whatever his name is, obviously trying to just exploit that to try and take over the region.
Yeah.
Did you like the storyline?
I enjoyed it.
I thought it was quite interesting how you got like the 7 stages instead of like your admins.
Yeah.
I feel like when you think Gen 5, they're quite... Gen 5, I think, is a very one-of-a-kind generation. If that makes sense. I think it was very...
Trying to start something new, but still keeping some kind of source material relevance.
There were some parts of Gen 5 which I just thought were quite really different. Like... Maybe... I don't know. I can't really pinpoint it. I just thought it was really, really odd. But yeah, obviously we come down to obviously you got the Elite Four, which featured Caitlyn, who we saw in the Generation 4 Battle Frontier, which I thought that surprised me. And speaking of the Elite Four, we did have obviously that change from the standard format, where you would normally go one after the other, and it would progressively get more difficult. Where in this time you could pick your own route, and they would only have 4 each. What did you think about that?
Oh no, that was a nice new touch actually. Like, it helped you out a bit. But it still kind of maintains the difficulty, doesn't it?
It was too easy. Well, you're gaining levels in the Elite Four, and you do gain a fair few levels, let's be realistic, because it's a lot of XP. The Elite Four stays the same, and you eventually just get over leveled, I found. Like, I just found it too easy.
I don't know, with my first kind of playthrough, I remember having a bit of difficulty with some of them.
If you do that, the Elite Four's Pokemon, you should have 5 again. If you're going to have them all at the same level, they've got to be higher leveled. They've got to be very, very high leveled. Otherwise, it's just not a challenge.
Or do you reckon, like, have it scaling, so like you defeat one of them, so everyone else are a bit higher, and so on and so forth?
I would prefer that, have it scaling. But I love the old format, where you just defeat one, and it's like, oh, who's next? You progress on to the next one. Oh, who's next? And then you go again. It's just... I just found that feeling just like I just found it really interesting. I just didn't like the format. I think it's suited X and Y, not X and Y. Sorry, I think it's suited Black and White due to the sort of way it works, because you're obviously in like sort of End's castle and I don't know. I quite like the Elite Four's rooms though. I did like that. I didn't like that concept. Now I'm going to move on swiftly. I actually expected this podcast to be short, but it seems like we are able to stretch it out. Moving on swiftly to Black and White 2. Now, obviously, everyone was expecting Pokemon Grey.
Yeah.
Because that did get copyrighted. But Junichi... Yeah, it did. It got trademarked, whatever you call it. Similar to how what Pokemon Z happened. And all of a sudden we were hit with Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Or Sun. So Pokemon Grey was expected. And obviously we got hit by a curveball. Instead of sort of a remake of those games, we got hit with sequels. Now, what was your first thought to that? If you remember your first thought, because we are talking like 5 years ago. Okay, what are your feelings towards it?
I don't know. I just remember like... I don't know. I just remember it being like really neat. Like, I enjoyed it a lot. Like, we actually have a continuation instead of essentially the same story but with a slightly different part to it.
Now, one thing that it did add was if you connected sort of your save files up together, as you were progressing through the game and you would hit certain events, what would happen is you would almost relive the old game, if that makes sense. So it would almost have like a cutscene, where you could basically see what happened there 2 years ago in the Black and White games.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which I feel like the Black and White 2 thing with Black and White was kind of a bit of, not a knockoff, that's the wrong word. What do you call it when it's like a link back?
Flashbacks?
Not flashback. If you're like doing something because it links to something else.
I was going to say tribute, that's not right.
Resonates? You'll see what I mean in a minute when I say it. So I feel like it was kind of like resonates back to the whole Gen 2 being a sequel of Gen 1.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was really interesting. I really liked the little cutscenes. I actually only ever played through Black and White 2 once, so I'm really scratching on my like head at trying to remember certain parts of it. Because I didn't play through the post game. I never played through the Black and White 2 post game. So,
Really?
Guess what, Callum? This is your chance to be passionate and stand up proud and tell me exactly what happened during the post game.
Dude, I don't remember that much. I'll be honest.
I don't remember it at all.
I don't know, is that like a bad thing that we can't remember the post game or what?
No, it's not I can't remember. I never played it. I just straight up never played it. I just went straight into competitive battling with it. Because that's all I cared about.
The only post game I know of was like the battle challenge in like White Forest and Black City.
Hold on a minute. Naruto, I'm not on my DS at the moment, so I'm not going to add new ones friend code. Go on.
Like the battle facilities, and once you complete the regional decks, you could go to like a resort area where you can find like a shiny Haxorus.
Yeah, like I said, I never got that shiny Haxorus.
Neither did I.
So Black and White 2 is a bit of a distant memory. I might have to play through it again. What I do remember though is obviously you've got some parts of Team Galactic, Team's Plasma split. Sorry, I'm Gen 4 fanboy. Team Plasma.
We had like Plasma and Neo Plasma.
Yeah. So Plasma was the plasma that stayed on. Neoplasma, to like be with Getsis, Neoplasma split off to be with N to sort of look after Pokemon.
Other way around.
Neoplasma went to be with Getsis and you know, do bad things, and normal plasma went off with N to help with Pokemon. Now there is a theory, and that's when you get Zorua, because when I mentioned like the linking back, when you get to Driftvale City, which is the 5th gym, so you've got Clay, it's the ground type gym, where you've got the frozen storage. Do you remember? So when you go into a house, you can pick up a Zorua, and supposedly this was N Zorua, because obviously you can go through and pick up N's old Pokemon.
Yeah.
Now, when you go into the flashback, that was N's house, and obviously Zorua or Zoroark had the ability to create illusions. So the theory has it that N was actually a Zoroark.
Oh yeah.
Or a Zorua. Which I thought was quite interesting. I thought that was quite mysterious. There's a lot of secrets, I think, in Gen 5, which, because I don't think people really cared about Gen 5 much. It was certainly one of the more hated generations, like I said before. I think there is so much more that meets the eye to it. 'Cause I might have to play through on Volt White 2. Just obviously play a bit of a harder version. Speaking of Volt White 2 and harder versions, so I'm not going down the ROM hacks route here. I'm going towards easy mode and challenge mode. Came out in Black and White 2.
Oh, and the Reggie keys as well.
We'll look at them in a minute. So we're looking at... Now, I think this was fantastic. It was such a good idea from Manectric to do. So if you didn't know, when you beat the game, depending on your version, you got either the easy key or the challenge key or the hard key or something like that. And you could, if you linked up with people who had the opposite game and had the opposite key, you could sort of like copy each other's keys, and then that allowed you to play either an easier version of the game or a harder version of the game. This was fantastic, apart from one thing. There was one problem. Go on then, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, like, the difficulty spike wasn't all that though, because with the easy mode, it was like 5 levels less or something after a certain level, and with challenge mode it was 5 levels more when you were facing off against people.
Well, okay, let's say the biggest problem was, why are you getting an easy mode before the game, once you've completed normal mode? Or why are you getting, like, that doesn't make any sense. Do you see my point? You need to have these options at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And I think they should do that with Sun and Moon. Just give us an extra option of a harder game.
I mean, like, I feel like they might, but I'm really not sure.
Because it's completely pointless.
Yeah.
It's completely pointless. Like, what's the point in having easy mode at the beginning once you've already beaten the normal mode of the game? Like, that doesn't get you anywhere. Apart from, I guess, if you've got like a little brother that might want to play.
Yeah.
But
And like, you can't even access it once you start a new game either.
True.
The only way you can get a clean reset is by wiping the entire card.
Okay, so have you got any comments on Gen 5 overall?
I don't know. I did like it. It's a bit sad that there was a lot of forgettable stuff, but I don't know.
I tell you what we'll allude to, and this was a big inclusion. So this was when the global link came out, and something big came out along with Gen 5, and that was the Dream World.
Yeah.
This is literally just sprang to my mind. This is completely unscripted, guys. I don't even have a list in front of me of like what I'm going to say or anything. So the Dream World was something where you could upload your save basically or you could upload a Pokemon to online, and I believe you could only go onto the Dream World for like 2 hours a day or an hour a day.
Really?
Well, yeah, something like that, because it was so busy. And you could basically farm items. You could do berry farming. You could get loads of really cool stuff. You could get Pokemon with hidden abilities, and you could link yourself into the entry link with it and pick up those items. And the entry link was pretty cool, and you can communicate. I'm not really sure of all the features, but Gen 5 I thought was really interesting in that sense. They really tried to boost the whole sort of Pokemon network with it per se.
Well, with the entry link, it was just a whole bunch of mini games where you try and find items or people. Try and deliver items to said people even.
And moving on again with sort of hidden abilities. So hidden abilities gave some Pokemon some massive boosts. For example, in Gen 4, I don't even think Blaziken was Uber. Come Gen 5 and hidden abilities, it gets speed boost and high jump kick. Goes straight to Ubers. Sorry, I meant Blaziken wasn't even OU. Gen 5, Blaziken got speed boost and high jump kick, and it sent it straight to Ubers. It was ridiculous. And obviously come Gen 6 it gets a Mega Evolution to make it even more ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I adored, I love the fact that those hidden abilities. They're so cool. I think Garchomp has a fantastic one with Rough Skin. It just gives so many Pokemon some new lease of life. Like I think Sharpedo got speed boost as well. You've got things like abilities such as like Infiltrator came out, which I don't think they could back then, but what Infiltrator did is basically allow you to avoid screens, so like reflecting light screen. But now, in Gen 6, you can hit through substitutes with it, which is unbelievable.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, also sound moves hit through substitutes, so like Boom Burst, Bug Buzz, Growl. Did you know that?
No.
What else came out with Gen 5? So we've got the likes of yes, you got the new ability. There's actually a lot of new abilities, a lot of new moves as well. Actually, I'm watching. If you haven't heard of him, Alex Agloza on YouTube. I think he's got like 168,000 subscribers. He does like Pokemon facts videos, and he is a US national champion in VGC. Has started up a new series called. It was called. Right, well done if you get the reference, but it's not a hard reference to get. Who wants to be a Dragonair? Callum's just pulling off the face like that's such a bad name. And obviously the main idea is you've got a few lifelines, you go through a list of questions to see if you can win the game. And Aaron Zeng, who has come third in a world championship, he's won multiple championships. And his younger brother is a world champion in one of the other divisions, Brandon Zeng. So Aaron Cybertron Zeng, you can look him up, Cybertron Productions on YouTube. Went on there and had a go at this game. At the beginning he was pathetic. And there was a question, I'm sorry, he really was. It was, I can't remember what his first question was. Callum, you'll know, right? I'll ask you the first question, okay? In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, you can talk to a man where after answering answering some questions, when answering all his questions correctly, will give you a Dratini with a certain move. Is that move Upward Jet, Dragon Breath, Dragon Rush, or Extreme Speed? Do you know the man I'm talking about?
No. I
It's
don't think I ever got to that part.
It's in the post game Heart Gold or Silver, like the Dragon's Den.
No, I don't think I ever returned to the Dragon's Den.
And something I learned, so I actually knew this straight away. It's the only way you can have a Dragonite with Extreme Speed.
Got you.
So the answer is Extreme Speed. So, but some of the other things, I'll get to another question in a minute, which is more kind of, you understand what I mean with Gen 5, why it's got that link to Gen 5. But like this, yeah. Apparently, if you don't answer all the questions correctly, you still get the Dratini. Sorry, if you don't answer them all correctly, then you still get Dratini, but you don't get it with Extreme Speed, which is quite interesting. My favourite Pokemon game is Pokemon Platinum. What about yours, Callum? Watch him come out with like Pokemon Pinball or something.
I was very fond of Explorers of Sky.
I just can't, like, the OG Mystery Dungeons were just...
What, Red and Blue?
Yeah. The originals. Anyway, excuse my nostalgia. Moving on, so we were talking about, yeah, so one of the questions that he struggled on, and I found it really funny. So let's say you hacked Wonder Guard onto another Pokemon other than Shedinja, okay? Now, in Gen 4, supposedly there is a move that will still hit this hacked Pokemon with Wonder Guard, even if it's not super effective. And the answers he said, or the choice of answers that Alex gave him was Heat Crash, Incinerate, Fire Fang, or Heat Crash, Incinerate, Fire Fang, or it was something else. V-Create. Do you know the answer? It's really easy, and there's one thing that gives it away, and this shows you how, like, there was a lot of new moves added to Gen 5, and the thing that gives it away was the fact that 3 of those moves came out in Gen 5, and the question was a bug in Gen 4, and 3 of the moves came out in Gen 5. Aaron actually still got the question wrong, which I thought was quite funny.
Again.
So a bug in Gen 4 allowed, right, let's say Wonder Guard was on like an Ursaring. It's only, so fighting type moves would only be able to hit it, yeah?
Yeah.
Due to a bug in Gen 4, this move would hit through Wonder Guard even if it wasn't super effective. You've got Incinerate, Heat Crash, Fire Fang, and V-Create. Now, not only did Aaron get it wrong, he phoned up Wolf Glick, who just won the World Championships, and he also got it wrong. Because 3 of the moves, Incinerate, Heat Crash, and...
So it was Fire Fang?
It was Fire Fang. Fire Fang was the only move that even existed in Gen 4. So I just thought it was a really funny question. I wanted to bring it up. But, yeah, so go check out that video, by the way. It's brand new series. It's going up every Sunday. Alex Ogloza. That's Alex and Ogloza. Just search him on YouTube. So it's really, really interesting new series. That, but some of the moves that Gen 5 came out with, like Gen 5 was big for competitive. We've already mentioned the items. I've mentioned a couple of abilities. Like some of the moves were really good as well. Obviously, Victini's V-Create, which is insane power. But it also came with a nerf to things like Explosion, which I believe you only learnt about this not that long ago. That Explosion,
last week.
Yeah, Explosion having a nerf where in Gen 4, Explosion would halve your defense before dealing damage. Now it's just 250 power, end of. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say on Gen 5. I think it's a fairly irrelevant generation to most people. I don't know. I find it. I need to play through it again, I think.
Yeah.
And then maybe if we play through it again, we can do another stream on it and say what we enjoyed. It's been a long time since I played Gen 5, actually. Because I never really played the wrong hacks either. Because Gen 5, like... I don't know. But like I said... Yeah. If anybody watching the stream has got any questions about us in Gen 5, let us know.
Yeah, because I plan to do a Nuzlocke on Blaze Black White White, so...
Have sweets. Like... Those games were just... There was something odd about them. I don't know.
Oh no, I think it was a case of like trying to bring a fresh breath of life to it or whatever, but it just kind of prolonged the inevitable.
It was just odd. I tell you one big thing Gen 5 did introduce. I am just thinking of these off the top of my head.
Mm.
So, you've just beaten the first gym leader, who was the Straton gym leader. Okay, yeah, so the first gym that, apart from Gen 2, that didn't have a rock type gym leader at the beginning. That's big. But obviously you got the TM workup, so you're like, oh yeah, obviously you got your Pan Pokemon, the monkey Pokemon, to help you beat the gym. Oh yeah, I've got the TM for workup. I'm going to use the TM for workup on, let's say you started with Snivy, you'd have Pan Paw. Yeah, I'm going to have workup on both of them. Wait a minute, you can have TM workup on both of them, because TMs were in fact reusable in Gen 5. They did bring that into the play, which is, I mean, that was about 20 years too late. Not 20, but like, well, I don't know. 15 years too late.
When they were disposable, it made you think a bit more. Like, you were a bit more careful with how you would use your TMs.
Well, instead of spamming Earthquake and everything. From a competitive point of view, it was amazing, and we loved it. From an in-game point of view, I have to agree with you. Yeah. It made the game a lot easier. But once you're in the post-game, and if you're a competitive battler, you'd understand how important these TMs are that you can just use over and over again. Obviously, it made them more expensive in the shop, but things like Earthquake, which actually I don't think you bought Earthquake, but I think Thunderwave cost you about 70k. But if you got the Amulet coin, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, the TMs were just incredible. We had, we'll go back to the abilities. Gen 5 saw the first ever Pokemon, other than Groudon and Kyogre, to get the abilities Drought and Drizzle.
Was Ninetales and Politoed.
Correct, that was the hidden abilities. And that changed a massive spike in the competitive scene. Every team you came up against seemed to be Weather Team, and I actually had a really cool Sun Team, and I think it was like Ninetales, Sawsbuck. Sawsbuck, by the way, was a monster. Right, let me just tell you, if you're running a Sun Team, because back then Drought and Drizzle were permanent weather. Gen 6, they changed that, obviously, because of they needed to make Groudon and Kyogre's new abilities better, the primal abilities better. But you need to understand how good Sawsbuck was. Sawsbuck was normal type, it was normal and grass, so it had access to a stab 102 base power return. Its ability was Chlorophyll, which means it had double speed and sun. It had access to growth, which means it could raise both its attack and special attack by double in the sun. Not only that, it had access to Swords Dance anyway, which could just raise it by 2. So you could run it with, it got Jump Kick as a fighting move. It got Horn Leech to heal, so you could run Life Orb on it and you wouldn't have to worry about it taking damage. This thing was a monster. Do you know what's even better? In a competitive point of view, you could run Nature Power in a Pokemon. Do you know what Nature Power in a White Bear battle was in Gen 5?
No.
Earthquake.
Hang on, wasn't Nature Power also related to what berry the Pokemon was holding?
That's Natural Gift.
No, alright, fair enough.
Which is actually a really cool, like, niche, I think, on some Pokemon, especially in Gen 6 with in VGC, because the battles are so short. So Talonflame is completely walled by Heatran. Nah. I'm gonna throw a fucking berry on my bloody Talonflame and hit you with a Natural Gift for a base 100 power ground move. That Heatran is going down, my friend. But just little things with Natural Gifts. They're pretty fun. And then you could obviously run like acrobatics with Talonflame. I'm going off topic. So the thing that, like I was saying with Nature Power, so Sawsbuck quickly became one of my favourite Pokemon in Gen 5 because I could run it. So you'd run it in the sun, and you would have Swords Dance. You'd run it with a Life Orb to get, a little bit extra damage. You could run Adamant because it would get double speed from the sun anyway. And you would have Swords Dance ready to attack, Horn Leech to heal you as a grass stab, Nature Power for Earthquake, and then you could either run Jump Kick or Return, dependent on your team. Oh my god, this thing was fucking godly. The amount of teams it swept, it was so good. But yeah. So, Naruto asks, what is your least favourite Pokemon? Do you have one? I have one. I have one. And you know what? This is a perfect question because I don't know if it's my least favourite because I've got a lot of Pokemon which I don't particularly like. Specifically, most Megas. Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Salamence.
Yeah.
I don't like him. Get them out, please. I don't like Mega Sablaizer either. But if you've got Fairy type, then it's easy to take out. But once it sets up, you're done for. But I would probably say my least favourite Pokemon is probably Chansey, and that's because of Gen 5.
Oh, Eevee like Chansey, right?
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's like Eevee and a whole bunch of status moves, wasn't it?
No, you'd run it with Eevee to boost its defenses by 50%.
Yeah.
With Chansey's defense, if you don't know, Chansey's defense is base 5, so it's absolutely pathetic. But you'd run it with a Bold Nature to increase its defense further, plus with 252 EVs in defense to maximize it. Combine that with an Eviolite, and all of a sudden you've got not amazing. In fact, no, it's still pretty shoddy. I'm not gonna lie, it's still pretty crap. Defense that, but you've got, I think, base 70 something or base 80 something special defense, which is all right. It's nothing amazing. It's fairly average. But then when you put that with base 200 and something HP, this thing becomes impossible to knock out. It's ridiculous. Even most physical moves now do nothing to you.
Didn't they have soft boiled and recover as well?
It had access to soft boiled, wish, obviously protect. It gets stealth rocks if you want to put up hazards. It gets toxic, thunder wave, seismic toss.
The ultimate kind of stall Pokemon, isn't it?
Yeah, it was so annoying. You see it in every stall team. Obviously, thankfully in Gen 6, knockoff got a boost, so a lot of teams now run knockoff, which has kind of shied Chansey away a little bit. Because obviously knockoff is just amazing for getting rid of the Eviolite. And another thing people would use is Trick. And what are you playing?
Sonic Pinball.
What you do is you play. So you can use knockoff. You can run things like Trick or Switcheroo to get rid of the item, and it worked quite well. Naruto asks favorite legendary Pokemon.
Well, I remember. Well, back in the day, when Gen 4 was first released, and the way you encountered it, and before it was even confirmed whether it was or not, I had a thing for Rotom.
Are we calling that legendary? That's a borderline statement.
Back when it first came out, everyone thought it was like a legendary, because even when you encounter it, the camera moves around as if you had encountered a legendary. So,
I've got a couple favourites. Obviously, Rayquaza is a big favourite because Rayquaza is just a badass. I really like. I've just got memories of Dialga because Diamond was my first ever game. I quite like. I really like. I love Shaman. I love its two forms, stuff. It's flipping adorable. It's it's a flying hedgehog, for God's sake. There is just one thing that just makes me not like Shaman.
What was that?
Have you ever seen Giratina and the Sky Warrior? The movie in which Shaman is in?
Ages ago.
Shaman's Skyform's voice, in fact, no, just Shaman's voice in general.
I don't remember much about it.
Go and watch it after the podcast. You'll see what I mean. Its voice is, oh my god, they really messed up the voice.
I've yet to get onto watching the the Hooper movie.
The Hooper movie is just weird.
Isn't it just like a complete clusterfuck?
Why is yours Giratina? Naruto? Yeah, it's basically just Hooper summoning in loads of Pokemon and having them battle, and just showing how strong it is. That's pretty much it. It's one of the weirdest movies I've ever watched in my life. Like, not just Pokemon, it's just weird as fuck.
Yeah. What did you think of, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was the one with Kyurem and Keldeo.
Kyurem and the Sword of Justice.
Yeah, what did you think on that one?
Whoever voice acted Keldeo should be shot.
I don't remember anything about the voice acting. I remember
Honestly.
It was decent. It was kind of different. I don't
mind the other Sword of Justice. Keldeo was actually quite similar to Shaman's, if I remember correctly, but oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, they've just got to get better voice actors. Like, they're just not good.
At least it's not Dragon Ball Z Kai. Good God.
That's alright. I tell you what I wish they did stop doing. Stop letting the legendaries talk.
What, through telepathy or otherwise?
Yeah, just stop it. Just don't do it, game.
It was understandable with Mewtwo.
That makes sense. But like, Lugia shouldn't be able to talk. Okay?
Lugia talked. Oh God, Lugia talked.
I'm pretty sure Lugia talked. I mean, in the second movie, I'm not really sure why Slowking can talk. It's a bit random. Yeah, you've got things like what else talks? There's just so many things that talk, and it's just pointless. But that is probably going to be where we finish the podcast, guys, because I don't know what else to say, basically.
Well, no, I was thinking Zoroark and Zoroark talking. What did you think on that one?
That's kind of based for the illusion. No, Zoroark couldn't talk. Only Zoroark could talk, which just made it even weirder. But that's just I just thought that was odd. Zoroark had an interesting gimmick.
What, making the entire town an illusion or something?
Yeah, well, just like the whole illusion thing, I thought was quite odd.
Yeah. Oh no, a gimmick is a gimmick.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap the stream there. If you have any other comments, or if you've got any questions, let us know in the comments. Obviously at the end, because this will go down as a recording. So if you're watching it post-recorded, remember to write any comments of any questions that you want to know the answers to, and we'll reply to them next week if you want.
Oh yeah, the giveaway as well.
Okay, what do you want? I'll let you just talk about that in a minute.
Well, hang on. Do we know if the codes are region locked?
I have no idea.
Either way, sometime this week, I might even go down tomorrow. I'll be getting about 3 or 5 Volcanion codes. So, if anyone wants one, go in the comments to say that you want one. And even if, I don't know, if there's more than enough people, it'll have to be a lotto pick.
Alright, I've got an idea. What about the first 5?
First 5.
Or tweet him. One of the two. But thank you very much for coming by, guys. Thank you very much to everyone that's watched it live. Thank you very much for, if you watched afterwards, and well done if you got this far, because these videos are long videos, especially the last one. Hour and a half is the last one.
No.
But yeah, remember, you can follow us both on Twitter if you have any questions, and if you want to know when the next one is going live. We'll see you next week for another Manectric podcast. Goodbye.